You ready?
Yep.
I'm not ready. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Let me call the Oak Hill City Commission meeting to order. And if we'll stand for a moment of silence and then the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Gibson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Linlaw.
Here.
Commissioner McGee.
Here.
Commissioner Catagano.
Here.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Here.
Okay, first thing on the agenda is a presentation. I have a proclamation for Irish American Heritage Month. For all of you Irish. Whereas by 1776, nearly 300,000 Irish nationals had immigrated to the American colonies and played a critical role in America's war for independence. Whereas 5 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Irish descent and 3 signers were Irish born. Whereas 22 presidents have proudly proclaimed their Irish American heritage. Whereas Commodore John Barry fought the last sea battle of the American Revolution off the coast of Florida. Whereas 3 of the Spanish governors of La Florida were actually Irish military officers. Whereas Irish Americans, since America's inception, have provided and continue to provide leadership, service to the nation's political, business, and religious establishments. Whereas it is fitting and proper to celebrate the rich culture, heritage, and the many valuable contributions the Irish Americans have contributed. Now therefore, I, Douglas A. Gibson, Mayor of the City of Oak Hill, do hereby proclaim March 2024 to be Irish American Heritage Month in recognition of the long history of Irish American contributions to the state of Florida. I was also supposed to have another proclamation for Ted Prindle. Everybody remembers Ted. Mm-hmm. He was our guardian of the West Side, and he traveled many of the roads that in Oak Hill, and reported at every commission meeting. I regret that the proclamation did not get printed up for you, and I hear you're going back north. We will, if we have your address, we will send it to you in the mail. I apologize. Thank you. Okay, citizens participation. Deputy Clerk.
James Ward.
I'm going to stand here.
At the podium, please. State your name and your address.
James Ward, 1520 Maytown Road, Oak Hill, Florida. And I am here today. I wrote y'all a letter and asked for some leniency with my son for being the one that ran over some signs on Halifax Avenue. Yep, that's my son. But I watched the video. I didn't know I could actually be here and talk. And everybody's like, "Are the parents here?" I was like, but that's my fault for not knowing I could come here and speak. But I just wanted to say that I was only asking just for like a letter. I just don't want him having a felony and ruin his life. I hope he gets, if y'all say the judge says he can do 50 hours, I'll up it to 100 community hours. I want his punishment, but I don't want it to stop him from going in the railroad union because he's already been promised the job. in just a few months. So I just wanted to say, so how it did end up, y'all kind of went my way. And I just wanted to thank everybody for understanding and giving him a second chance. And hopefully it works.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yes. And answer any questions that y'all might have. I noticed there were some questions going around on the last meeting that I wasn't able to answer. So if anybody does have any questions,
We've all made dumb mistakes in our lives in there and all that. So it's a matter of wisdom is learning from his mistakes. So,
yes.
you know, and nope, I don't think any of us wish him, you know, want him to have the opportunities, but he's got to make some good choices, better choices.
Yes.
So,
Hopefully he will. I'm striving to make that happen to the best of my ability.
Thank you for coming in.
Yep, appreciate you
Yeah.
talking to
Yes,
us.
sir. Y'all have a good day.
Thank you.
No, he's still 2 weeks out from his court date. So
I've talked to Jerome some about this. Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
I can talk to him.
Oh.
Yes.
that hurts.
Ouch.
Man.
I can talk to you some a little bit.
And
Next.
then we have Charlie Dean. Charlie?
I'm gonna wait until the ball field,
Okay. Thank
because
you.
y'all might answer my questions. Jerome might answer all my questions. So I might have to stay.
No worries. And I believe that is it.
All right.
Mr. Wood?
My name is Corey Wood. I live on 2617 Lime Tree Drive, Edgewater, Florida. Well, my parents live on 275 Cypress Avenue, Oak Hill, Florida. We had a big block party last Saturday.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Hello?
We can't hear.
That's fine. We had about 250 people, 300 people showed up. It was nice. I couldn't have it happen weren't for Mayor Gibson. Thank you. Your staff, your secretary, for putting up all the phone calls that my family was calling. And a special thanks to my friend Mark Hall, because he kept it real about the park condition. So I just wanted to say thank you for what you guys did. It was nice. It was to the point where we're gonna have another block party in 3 months. Last one for my granddaddy. This one gonna be family and friends. Now, there's always a but. That park still got a lot of work need to be done to that park. It's embarrassing. You cannot pressure wash it because termites is eating the pavilion part of it. It's embarrassing. Now, I had 3 different parents come up to me. I don't know how they knew, but the block party was nice, but for the parents to come up to me and say, thank you. I was like, for what? By putting a face to the problem. He took care of the problem. I'd be the first to tell you. But before I came here, I rode by the park. I seen 4 kids now playing basketball. I seen a mom, pregnant mom, with her kid on the swings. My goal is our kids play too. And that means a lot. When I finish with this part of the park, I'm gonna focus on the other part. Because on that playground, there's some stuff that need to be done. We can do more. Now, I'm gonna say this, and I'm not gonna yell, I'm not gonna argue with no one, I'm not doing none of that. But one of my favorite games is poker. I love it, Texas Hold'em. The goal is you don't show your hand. If I got pocket aces or I have a 2-7, I have to have the same expression on my face. You can't see it. But I'm gonna show you my hands. If nothing get done, I have 5,000 friends on Facebook. 5. What I'm doing, take pictures of that park. I'm gonna write a little story, true story, about the park. I'm gonna come back to this meeting. My next thing I'm going to do, I have a friend on Channel 6. Good friend. That's how serious I'm taking this park issue to me. It's personal to me right now. It's personal. Because as a city commissioner, as community, we deserve better for our kids. And I know you're saying, Corey, you don't have a kid that plays at that park. I know. That's why I'm doing this. There's no dog in the fight for me. It's nothing for me to do this. If you don't find things for kids to do now, guess what they're going to do? They're going to walk them behind to the grocery box or the dollar store, or they might put some in their pocket because they got nothing else to do around here. I'm not, is it personal to me? Yes. Do I think we can do more? Yes. And I know you're going to say we got a grant coming, probably in September. We can't wait that long. That's too long. That is totally too long. I'm going to close by saying this. I used to work at the Tomoka prison. I used to work at juvenile detention prison. So it's kind of personal to me. And I volunteer to coach basketball at Atlanta High School, Spruce Creek. My next job will be in New Smyrna. A lot of kids, no matter what color you are, if the dad's not in their life, the mom probably work 2 jobs. So they go hang out with their homeboys and they do some stupid stuff. We can stop that from happening and we can give them something to do. Thank you for your time. And I hope we get something accomplished, sir and ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
No problem, thanks.
Anyone else? Let's move on to city administration reports. Mr. Adams.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this one is purely informational for the purchase of the historic church. It's just advising that the closing is currently scheduled for March 15th. Hopefully they'll be able to get everyone in place that they need to do the signing, and then we'll proceed from there. The next item is the purchase of, well, the proposed purchase of the property that's north of the Louise Park for by the ball field. We had an appraisal done. It came back at $80,000. The owner of the property was asking $140,000. So this is to bring it to your attention to see what your direction is as far as what your next step will be for me.
Did you say 140, Jerome?
Yes.
That's what you've been at. I make a motion that we offer 80,000 for what the appraisal price was, and I think that's a very fair offer for, I mean,
Right.
looking
that
at
piece
all
of
the other
property.
bids and the comps and those kind of things, that's a legitimate, fair price for that piece of property.
I'll second.
Hey, we have a motion and a second discussion. I was advised that Sparkhawk's daughter is the one that requested the $140,000, but she also wanted the existing property would be shortened by 10 feet. They own north of that particular property, so they want 10 feet off of that, so that with all the lots that they own, they can subdivide them into roughly quarter of an acre lots. And this appraisal was based on the whole property. So do we take 10% off of that 80 and make it?
Well, I'd say if we're getting a diminished amount of the property we had originally contracted with, then yeah, we should probably reduce the offer. That would be my take. Because we're not getting as much property as we had originally negotiated.
Well, with what it was appraised for.
Yeah.
You have to take it back, Steve.
You know, I'm, right, and I'm up for in there in discussion, but I'm thinking, you know, we lower the offer to 75,000, right, with that in there. I mean, we can use the property, there's a lot of good use to it, so I think that's a bit of a, 10% is, yeah, that, you know, it could be, I don't know, but I'll amend my motion to 75,000 and.
I'll second that.
Okay, you withdrew your first, you withdrew your second. We now have another purchase of offer 75,000. And here's the question. Where's the money coming from? You know, I mean, in the past, when things like this would come up, it was directed to the city administrator, and the question would be asked, do we have the funds? The answer was yes. Not one of us, and I'll admit it. I never asked, where is it coming from? Zach pointed that out in our meeting. And you know, when you do your own personal, you open your checkbook up, you know where your money is. And if you've got other funds stashed, you know how much you got. So relying on just the verbal, you have the funds, or we have the funds, was not a good approach, albeit I'll take the bullet because it wasn't, you know? But on the back end of that, every audit came out fine. So where did, like Jimmy Van park, when we bought that property from Jimmy Van, $125,000. We didn't borrow money. It came out of the general fund. So I think the motion is fine and we can vote on the motion, but maybe we should stipulate that we need to make sure the funds are available.
I meant to, I thought that was implied, so yes, I agree, we have to have the fund available in order to do that.
Yes, Commissioner?
How much was the church?
How much was the church? 65,000.
65. So in that 300 and something figure that they had up on the screen, but that's pretty much all the money we have for the rest of the year. Is that right?
No, I think I would look at it as unrestricted.
That's
like over and above all the money we budgeted for the year.
and that didn't count the ARPA money.
Right. It didn't.
Yes, excluded the ARPA money.
Because that would come, that would be almost half of that, with that figure that he had up there, if we didn't have the other ARPA funds and stuff like that, so.
I would say
that was 380,000.
Yeah, it was something like that, right?
Yeah.
Since we're looking at the two pieces of property to expand
So
going
we do
to the
have the
parks, that
funds.
would be ARPA fund money, I would assume we would have.
Yeah, look at the park.
That's infrastructure,
Yeah,
it's part of the parks.
Right, and
But,
so other things that we might look at with that would be when we go to replace the culverts under the roads and things like that too. I mean, that's gonna whittle that down a lot.
Yeah.
I see the beautiful job everybody's doing on the ditches, I mean, that looks great, but
Ooh,
we know that once it hits that road,
it'll stop.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
and it's, well, right now we have the bend down there on River Road. We got the Gain Street intersection, and we got the one going under Lagoon, and those are only the ones that I know about.
Yeah.
That are all, essentially failing. So with that, in mind, the ARPA funds gets a little thin right there. I don't know if we, if we can afford it, I think that investing in property is a good deal, but if we can't, we might have to make a choice between these two. maybe. Well, just,
Well, you're under contract for the church property.
okay, well, that settles that.
You're under contract. So, that helps you.
That makes it easy.
But, you know, maybe based on the presentation, what you would want is, if the commission is interested possibly in buying this, but you want to know where the funding's coming from, and that would be for Jerome to bring back a budgetary proposal. Where's it gonna come from?
Excellent.
You know, and then that would, and that's what I kind of heard from Zach,
Yeah.
is that y'all would be informed when you make the decision to spend $75,000, which assumes they will accept it, which is a significant, like half what they're asking almost. So probably won't anyway. But you want to know, where's this money coming from? What do we have left over after if we pay for this? And maybe what other things have we committed to spending that haven't hit the ARPA funds or the reserves yet, such as church property? Let's back to those things then. So it's just a thought. And because that's near the, isn't it adjacent to the ball field?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we could make an ECHO grant application. And I assume we're buying this to expand the ball field? Or the park?
Parking.
Parking.
Park.
Yeah, I think maybe if that would qualify for ECHO funds, then we could, you know, see if we can make an application for ECHO to help pay for that, some of that.
How long does that usually take to get an ECHO grant?
I think right now with the ECHO grant, the next cycle that we are able to apply starts in September.
Not until September, right.
I got you.
So, you know, we'd have to
I
wait
guess
until
there's,
yeah.
you know, if we're already under contract, is there like a time limit on that, Scott? Or-
Well, I was not thinking so much for the church property, I was thinking about this other property.
I got you.
That's what I was really thinking for. I don't know the answer. Can you spend money and then get reimbursed if you weren't approved in advance? Sometimes they want these things approved before you spend
Yes.
them. So I don't know that the church purchase will qualify, but this other one probably will. You'd have to delay the offer. But I mean, Jerome can talk to the ECHO people and see how procedurally the steps. What do we need to go through to make the application? And then if y'all only want to approve it contingent on getting ECHO approval, then we would write that into the contract. So we're only going to buy this if we get an ECHO match. It's sort of like a financing contingency. We would put that in the contract, so if you didn't get the ECHO grant, then we could back out.
That's a heck of a motion right there, Steve. You want to feel that one?
Yeah, I'm running it through my head here, how to,
I was wondering if we
But
should
there was a
not,
lot more there than I thought to put in the motion. I was
to
thinking,
withdraw the motion in the second.
Right.
Wait until
Wait
Mr.
until we hear
Adams comes
from-
back to us and says,
Yeah.
here's the funding, blah, blah, blah. If we can't, with ECHO and in September, I mean, these people might wait till then. They haven't done anything since Mr. Sparkar passed away. Several months have passed, and they just have reached out about it, selling it. So I think that would be a better way to do it. At this point, not pass anything, just,
So I could bring it back to you with
Yes,
the information that
that's
I
my-
read. Yeah.
Next
I
meeting.
agree that I withdraw my motion and that we can have a discussion.
Yeah.
you withdraw?
Withdraw the second.
Okay, motion's withdrawn, seconds withdrawn.
Yeah, that makes sense, yes.
Mr. Adams will report back to us on that. Okay, moving forward, consent agenda. I don't know how we missed these. August the 7th, 2023 minutes, August the 28th, 2023 minutes. Minutes, February the 5th, 2024, Charter Review Workshop, and minutes, February 12, 24.
I make a motion to pass the minutes with the caveat that we go through and do spell check on them because there's a number of typos in multiples. So, but, I mean, I didn't see any wrong, incorrect, or misinformation. And I went through all of them.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Apologies for the typos. We try to read through everything that's on your desk as quickly as possible. Sometimes it gets missed.
There was a lot there. I understand that, but it's just-
I thought it was phonetic spelling.
Call for the vote.
Mayor Gibson,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Linlaw,
Yes.
Commissioner McGee,
Yes,
Commissioner Catalano.
Yes.
Commissioner Hyatt.
Yes.
Next item, city attorney, non-agenda items.
Jerome, did you want me to talk about that
Yes.
sign?
Stearns, the Volusia Forever, 70 acres.
Do you have the surveys? Or- I just want to give you an update, some issues that popped up, and we have a conference call Wednesday with representatives of St. John's and the county. And as you know, those are the two agencies who are putting the most money in. I think our contributions are around 13,000 right now with this interlocal agreement. They're in the 70 to 80,000 range. And this is primarily a project that St. John's wants for restoration in this area. I can't tell you much more than that. Just it's a restoration project. Ultimately, the property, once the project is done, the property could revert back. We own the property. We would own it or have some ownership where we could do more with the property. But two things that have popped up with the survey. And
It's coming.
Warming
Heating
up.
up.
yeah, just put the ones with circles. That's good enough. Should I turn it? So the properties we're buying, the legal description for the properties we're buying are lot numbers. It's not a meets and bounds legal description. Meets and bounds legal description is where so many feet this way, so many feet that way, where you draw it out. We're buying lots. And we're buying lots 21 through 28. And so you see 21, 22, 25, and then it's 24, 26. And then we get, I think, 27 down here. And then we also are buying 30, 40, and 41. And when I say we, the three governmental entities. These areas, and one issue we had is up here, there was a very small encroachment by a deck onto the property by a house that was built there, and it was just a foot or two. So what we're proposing is we carve that area out and we give that to the property owners who are encroaching on us. And that was something that St. John's and the county were agreeable to. The one that we have to address is this. So since we're buying lots, and you can see the lot lines here, then you have this area here. This is the shoreline, as I understand the survey. So you have this area, and they're circled in green. This area, if you want to move it up a little drunk, or and this one's actually a bigger area, right there, that are not part of the lots we're buying. So there is a significant amount of shoreline that the ownership is in question on. What we are for sure buying is this little bit, and I think maybe a little bit above that. So definitely more than half the shoreline. I haven't actually measured it, but a significant part of the shoreline we're not under contract with. And we don't know who owns this. There's no indication of ownership here, because if you go to the property appraiser's website, the owner of this property owns all along the shoreline. They don't identify this as separate parcels. So it could be, my thinking is that this could be accretions, where sediment has built up over the years and just accumulated.
where the Army Corps of Engineers came in and dredged it out
Say
and
they've
pumped
been
that in.
dumping
That's
it.
more than likely where the,
Right.
we have the same issue up there at Indian Harbor State. There's some property there
So-
that nobody knows where it came from.
Right. So we could have, It could, if it's filled state land, I think state owns it. If it's accretions, then the upland property owner owns it. We discussed that we would get a quitclaim deed from the property owner, transferring to the 3 governmental entities any and all interest they have in this area.
So can you orient us, show me where either Bill's Hill Road or Maytown
I
Road is?
have no clue.
Down there at the south end, Bill's Hill Road is the part of that south end.
Ah, okay.
Up in the very upper left-hand corner is River Road.
Right there?
Yes,
there.
yeah, that's where River Road, East Halifax turns into River Road right there.
So the conversation, I think the primary question really is for St. John's, that do they want to back out of this if they aren't guaranteed access to all this waterfront property to do their restoration project?
Probably.
County says they don't, this is really an issue for the city in St. John's. My question for y'all would be, we might have a meeting after the meeting before the day. The closing was supposed to be before the end of March, but I think contractually we have a longer period of time. I don't know what the communication has been between, because the county has really taken the lead on negotiating this in St. John's. We have been in the back seat up until just recently. But my main question is, if St. John's backs out, do you want to back out? If St. John says we're out of this, does the city, because I don't know what the county's going to do, but if we don't, would the city have any interest in still purchasing this, knowing we have to make up that difference that the county dropped, go back to our fund balance? And
There you go.
So
No.
yes.
We would have to pay the St. John's portion too, is that?
I don't know, so let's assume for discussion, yes, I don't know if the county would pick up a portion of that and just split the overall cost 50-50 with us. I don't know.
Either way, it's going to be a higher amount though?
I would have to assume. I don't think the county's gonna pick up St. John's portion. But I'm assuming if it costs us more, if the county backs out, and they back out because they're not guaranteed access to the river and they can't do the restoration project, should Jerome and or I have the authority on Wednesday at our conference call to say, if St. John's you're backing out, then I think the city's backing out too. And then just so we can give notice to sellers saying, look, we're not buying.
Has there been any indication from the property owner to be willing to do the quitclaim deeds?
I assume they would, because it doesn't, I don't know if they've talked to them about it. I just threw this out Friday as a solution.
Yeah.
Because somebody threw out, hey, we can, how this came about is a survey came out and said, hey, we can address some of this through quiet title action. And the first time I kind of chimed up, I was like, wait a minute, quiet title is litigation. Why are we buying a lawsuit?
Yeah.
What do you mean quiet title? They started explaining this to me, and I'm like, to have a quiet title, you have to have some color of ownership, some basis to claim that you're entitled to this property.
Right.
So we have to have the upland owners transfer whatever their interest is. We just can't sue somebody for quiet title without any claim to the ownership of these properties, these areas. So I don't think we may have to do a quiet title, but I think we need to get this quitclaim deed.
Yeah, I would think that would be the easiest way to go.
To address it.
That would clear up everything, right?
Well, I don't know if the upland owner owns this. If it's the state, if it's filled land by Army Corps, and if it's the state, well, then that quitclaim deed means nothing.
Right.
I'm hoping then St. John's and the county can help us with the state to work out these issues. But I just had an email exchange. This all happened, last week, and then not too much today, just last week. And I sent an email said, if we don't have this access to the river, how does this impact the proposed project, and are we still moving forward? County said, well, that's really up to St. John's and the city, because we don't have a city, it doesn't impact us, well, why we're putting money in. But St. John says, yes, it will impact us. No, didn't say that we're canceling the deal. We have a conference call Wednesday. But I just wanted to update you on this is what the issue is. And if it would be, do you want us to represent to them? If St. John's backs out, then we're not willing to proceed further either. And that's the question. And I know I'm throwing it on to you, and you may say, let us think about it. And we can tell them Wednesday, hey, there's a good chance if you all back out St. John's, we're not going to do it either, but we'll find out in our second meeting in March, we'll give you some time to think about it.
Let's do it that way.
And that's fine. But, and then we'll know whether the county's backing out too.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it that way.
Suggest you go get St. John's to talk with the state, because I think that's who owns
The
that.
Army Corps, they filled it?
Yep.
Could be.
Would,
In 1938, they dug all those bayous and they pulled all that kind of stuff out of there. And then when we were in, 64, 65 timeframe, early 60s, the Army Corps of Engineers came back in there and they made a dike and they dug out some more of that stuff and they built a ridge right along the water line there sometime in the early mid 60s, right?
Okay.
So that was all Army Corps of Engineer came in there and did that.
Okay. Scott, what we'll do is,
Scott, is there any chance that Florida Inland Navigation District has any claim on that property?
I don't know. Find.
They got a couple of big lots around here, I know that.
Yeah. Maybe.
That's when they used it to pile all the spoils when they dredged.
Yeah, they bought that down there at Bill's Hill Road at the end of that down there. They bought
They could have filled
25
land there.
acres, 50
Big old
acres.
thing there, yeah.
The filled land that, from my knowledge, understanding, is when you have filled
It's
land,
south
it's
of
the
there.
state.
hey,
State's the
Scott,
owner of it.
question, if this deal falls apart because of all the questions that we can't really answer, do you think that possibly that this piece of property would fall under the Volusia Forever program of
Well, Volusia
purchasing?
Forever is, that's what funds they're using to
The
pay for
county
their
side.
share
Right.
of it. Would they be willing to buy the whole thing?
Maybe.
I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe.
Because that's the whole idea of the program, is to buy land to keep it natural, which is the intent of what we're trying to do.
Well, that, and I think the St. John's is involved because they want to undo the dredging that you were talking about.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
what they want to do.
Yeah,
That would be nice if they could.
Yeah, that's the whole,
That would be
whole point
good.
is to restore it back to the way it was without the dredging. And then the city would maintain this area as kind of a passive, walkways type thing, but
Right.
it could become we would become the owners of it if they decide, hey, we're done with it or something like that. It's-
The discussion I had with St. John's and the county was, after St. John's does their dredging, it'll take 2 years, the project that they're gonna do, take 2 years. Then the city would be able to put in a kayak ramp, bathrooms, parking lot, and walkways, nature trails through it. But my 2 cents worth is, if St. John's pulls out, we don't have the funds.
Yeah.
We can't handle that.
All right, well, Jerome and I have that conference call Wednesday, and then he will update you.
You know, that might give you a little bit more
And
information
I don't want to say
from,
definitively we're out, but I'm just going to say if y'all guys are out, then it's not likely that the city
Yeah.
to pick up that.
Sir?
Okay, that's the only update I have.
Thank you.
Bad news.
okay.
That's the same kind of crap that was.
Next thing up, city administrator matters.
Okay. Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, the first one is regarding the supervisor of elections, using the chambers here for elections. They will be using it on the 18th, 19th, and 20th. The 18th for setup, 20th, 19th for the elections, and 20th for taking their equipment down. So it's purely informational. We have already worked out within our group here who will be giving them access and making sure no cameras
Yeah,
are on.
they always
and all of
have.
that.
Mhm.
Yeah. The next item is getting the commission's approval or permission to go ahead and advertise for 2 alternates for the PLDRC. Currently, there are no alternates on the PLDRC, and in looking through the code, it says that there should be 2 alternates. So with
Please do.
your permission?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep. The next one is regarding the Mayor Dewey's baseball field. As you probably know, the renovations at the field are almost complete. Looks really nice. Cost a pretty penny to get it looking that way. So, in discussing with other people, including our attorney, is whether or not we could feasibly, how do I say it, have that field sort of not open to the public so that it doesn't get damaged, because it would cost, more money to get it repaired or whatever. We could have it there for use for games or whatever, but if anyone wants to actually use that field, we could rent it to them. But I wanted to get your feedback on, or your opinion on what your views are on that. Do you want to have it open and available for use for anyone at any time, or do you want to have it as reserved and someone has to rent it, just so we can control access to it to make sure it doesn't get damaged, for lack of a better term?
My feeling is those parks are open to the public, so is that ball field. No rent.
Okay.
We just assume that if it gets damaged, that the city just makes whatever repairs are necessary. It's like the bathrooms. It's like anything over at Mary DeWeese Park.
Yeah, we rent the building over there in the pavilion. Public.
Well, it is,
Right, it
but
should
not to
be.
everybody.
Should be.
Jerome,
Okay,
isn't
we'll put a
the
toll booth up at the gate.
parameters for that included with the grant application? I thought they had something, remember reading something in there about the requirements on public access. Might want to look
I
at
don't remember
that.
seeing it, but I'll look again.
Yeah, because I think they actually
Yeah,
answer your
okay.
question right in the grant application.
Okay.
I think it should be open to the public as well.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
With everything being locked up, people aren't driving in there anymore. So I'm not saying some industrious individual with a four-wheeler can't go through
What's
the
running
walk
through my
gate
head in
Yeah.
there is
and tear up everything with that
ATV,
four-wheeler.
motors,
But,
dirt bike.
I mean, it's,
Are there cameras there yet?
No.
no. Working on that.
That might help.
Identify
Who to
it
go after
afterwards.
for the consequences, that's. But I agree with Commissioner Catagano, I think there's some restrictions in that grant.
Grant,
That
maybe.
says you gotta control access. I'm not positive about that, but I believe that we need to check that.
Okay.
Put it on the agenda next commission meeting for an update.
Have it right there.
Thank you. Moving on, new business.
Sorry, if there's one other thing.
That was-
One other thing, if I
Oh, go ahead.
No, we answered his question.
Oh, okay. One other thing, just along the same lines of cameras, I have reached out to someone to look at having cameras at the parks. Also looking into getting cameras and internet at the VIA Hall. As soon as I have more information, pricing and stuff like that, I'll bring it back to the commission.
Good.
I did speak to Tanya Petraka about the VIA Hall, cleaning the VIA Hall. She was interested in having a cleaning service. And we reached out to one individual who has given us a quote, $125 per week.
Wow.
An initial deep cleaning of $250. Talked to Tanya, she's okay with doing every 2 weeks rather than every week. So the total cost for the year would be something around $3,250. So bringing it to the commission for direction, whether you want to proceed with that. The person is licensed and insured. They have their
Yes,
own.
that was gonna be my next question. Since there's so much stuff in the museum that could be damaged, you
That
want to
was
make sure.
part of the reason why I didn't want to have our crew cleaning it.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a risk. So just bringing it here, as I said, to commission for some direction.
I think $120 for a good cleanup every 2 weeks is reasonable.
125.
Yeah, that sounds fair,
Yeah,
all the way around.
yeah.
Do we have a consensus?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You have it.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
She did also bring to my attention that she has been finding some drug paraphernalia outside the VI hall by the steps.
Yes.
She has spoken to the sheriff's deputies about it already, so they are,
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
well,
And that's something that you need to, when we start talking about the cameras.
Ooh, don't
There's
touch him.
there's a telephone pole
His arm's sore.
right at those back stairs. Put a daggum light there.
Because we've had issues with that.
FPNL, I realize it costs money. What are they, about $20 a month, deputy clerk?
Roughly.
Yeah. I noticed it this Sunday, and I thought, why isn't there a light there?
Oh, we had
And-
one up there above the gazebo in there, and
People
it,
had busted.
Yeah,
it
they
kept
kept breaking
being
it.
destroyed.
Yes. Yeah.
It wasn't dark when we were there.
But, yeah, if we can get FPNL to put a light up there. That'll may eliminate the hiding behind the stairs to do whatever.
that's it.
New business? You're up, Mr. Adams.
So these two items are to get the Oak Hill Library and the VI Hall hooked up to sewer that's available. I have reached out to Zahn Engineering, that I understand they had done the engineering for the library, trying to see if they can do the engineering also for the VA
VA.
Hall. I'm awaiting a reply from them to see what the cost would be. And then I can find out if we have the funds to do it.
Very good.
Good response.
We definitely need to get the library hooked
No,
up.
wait a minute, that's infrastructure.
Yeah,
ARPA money can go to that.
There you go.
but,
So we do need an estimate
But,
and
yes.
award it in a timeline.
we definitely need to do the hookup for the library, especially because I know the Friends have talked about adding a meeting room on the back, but they can't because that's where the septic system is, so
Yeah.
we can't put anything there. So if we get rid of the septic system, that opens up that back portion to maybe put in a meeting room for the library.
Yep, so as soon as I have that information, I'll bring it back and we can decide what to do to go out for bids for someone to actually do the work.
Sounds good.
Okay. City goals. This legislative session, we went after $3 million in infrastructure. That went no place. We asked for $1 million in stormwater repair of the ditches and everything. We're in the budget for $500,000. We can put that money to good use with the various issues throughout the city. And changing the way the water flows haphazardly, hopefully. So, boards and committees is up next. Mr. Orman,
Thank you.
Economic Development.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, Administrator, 3 items. Anyone who is interested in or worked on Saints and Sinners is invited to go up to Heritage Day in New Smyrna Beach on April 6th between 9 and 3. It's on Sam's Avenue by the near City Hall. Further information is here. Second item, job fair. Got some kids looking for summer jobs, got people looking for full-time jobs. Brandon Center, April 10th, 3 to 7, free. Information is here. Now, the question I have heard a couple of times tonight is, where does the money come from? Well, let me run some numbers by you. We have about 1,400 homes permitted right now. They're going to come out of the ground in the next few years. They're earning around $300,000 each, which is a starter home nowadays. Taxes on that are about $8,000 a year if there's no portability. The city gets about 25% of it. So let's say 1,000 homes times $2,000 a year, that's $2 million a year going into the city coffers. What can we do with it? Well, Edgewater was nice enough to send me a list of the grants they got last year. This is not on the other side of the country, that's on the side of the state, it's on the other side of Ariel Road. Edgewater got $24 million in grants last year because they had somebody to ask for it. They got drainage improvements, $1.8 million. City match, $172,000. Canal improvements, $14,700,000. City match, $132,000. They got Titusville to Edgewater Trail, $2,350,000. City match, 0. They got CDBG grant, small cities, $750,000. City match, $50,000. The total they got in grants was $24,122,000. Their match was $913,000. Now, some of them don't apply to us. They bought 10 bulletproof vests, by the way, and at $849 each. We don't have a police department, so we don't need that one. But I think we should go after this money. It's out there for the asking. They're willing to help us. And when we start having more houses here, we have more tax money coming in, we're going to be able to afford all these matches. And we're not going to have to worry, gee, we need $30,000 to buy this piece of land next to the ball field. We're going to have it. So you want to go deeper into this, let me know, and I'll bore you to death, but the numbers don't lie.
You left out how much their budget is per year.
True, but they're not running the city.
$52 million.
But they're not running the grant program on
compared
the
to
city
$3 million in
I know.
Oak Hill.
But
You add $2 million to that, we're at $5 million.
Okay. But we still have enough money for, let's say, a third of this. What would we do with $10 million in grants?
And you made the magic.
After 5 years, we could pave our streets in gold.
Well, that's where the money should go.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we can do this. We can do this. The money's there. All we have to do is ask for it.
I thought we had a grant writer.
We don't.
We don't.
Okay.
And I checked in the charter. We don't have anything that says that we need a grant writer. So I have asked for a job description instead. So we can do that.
Well, the IRL Council has grant writers that any city can use. Free. Pay nothing. 0. None of this 20% of what I get you.
Well,
Or otherwise, I'd be a grant writer.
These grants are from CDBG, they're from Florida Department of Environmental Protection, FDOT. Oh, the traffic light, by the way, for the fire station was $450,000. Ouch. Yeah. FDEP again, FEMA, River to Sea, TPO, DOJ. The DOJ one was Victims of Crime Act, $50,000, no match from the city. We need to work on this, guys.
Thank you. Public Works, anything?
Sure, I'll give you some stuff and touch on what Mr. Wood had to say.
Mark Bell, Public Works Supervisor. To address what Mr. Wood had to say earlier, I've talked to Jerome about some of it, so I can kind of give you guys an idea of what he was talking about more in depth. Nancy Cummings Park and Mary Louise Park have had issues for years. There's termite damage, there's water rot in a lot of the roofing structures. Same way with VIA Hall and Chung Park. There's a lot of roofs that need to be replaced, redone. There's rotted plywood, rotted trusses. It didn't happen overnight, but those are the things that he's referring to. There were areas where we tried to pressure wash parts of Nancy Cummings Park and we blew a hole in the soffit because it was completely rotted. But so those are just to kind of give you an idea of what he's talking about as far as wood rot, termite damage and things like that. I talked to Jerome about some of it and let him know of those issues. There again, how do we fix them and where's the money going to come from? That we don't have an answer for yet. But we did make a lot of headway at Nancy Cummings Park. We did paint the building. The playground equipment has been removed. I know we're working on trying to do the new playground. The good news is, I know their question was, will they honor that same price? And I'm pretty sure the answer was yes, that they will honor the same price, only it's gonna come down a few $1,000s because we did the removal of the playground. There's a dumpster on site for them to use, and now that the restrooms are working, they won't have to bring in a porta-john. So we'll save a few $1,000s there in that aspect. I did meet with Jeff from the playground equipment company out there to make sure of the orientation of it and that it would fit in that, you know, in the vicinity of where it came out of. And he said everything should be fine, it'll fit. The next couple of projects I'd like to work on are some other things at the parks, like the basketball hoops. They are cast aluminum. They're very expensive because I replaced one of them one time. I don't know if you realize it, but those backboards new are almost $1,000 a piece. But for roughly about $100 a piece, we can have them sandblasted and repowder coated. They'll look like new. Some of those things I've talked to Jerome about, but just to kind of give you an idea on some of the stuff that we're still trying to do to make improvements to the parks. The roofs, I don't know where we start with those, but that's what Mr. Wood was referring to, was the termite damage, the water rot. There are some areas where there are actually holes in the roof and in the trusses. So just to kind of give you a better idea of what he was talking about.
Yeah, Mark, I was out there last week talking to you guys and looking at the building, and the paint job looks good and all that, but there's termite, and the plywood undercoated in there was in bad shape.
Yeah.
Well, we saw some of that when we were out there hanging Christmas lights and stuff.
Yeah,
like
there's
that,
holes in the roof at the gazebo at Chung Park. I mean, there's several areas where there's water damage and wood rot, the same way at Mary Louise Park, the same way over at Nancy Cummings Park. And
yeah, we do need to make an estimate of that, but from my thinking too, the what we were talking about earlier with the money for storm drains and all that, because part of improving that ball field and out of there is getting it out of the, from being in the water every time it rains an inch in there. So we need to help use some of the funds to do the engineering and to seek help with that.
And to give you an update on the lining of the piping and whatnot, I did meet with one of the representatives from Inliner at Nancy Cummings Park. His recommendation right now is to plug off both ends of the pipe and actually clean it and run a camera through it to see if it is just severely clogged or if it does need to be relined before we say, okay, we're going to spend all the money to reline it, when that may not necessarily be what it needs.
I have a question for you.
Yes,
You
sir.
said that there is an existing 24-inch pipe.
That was what I was told by the county.
Okay. Well, let's say that they're right.
Mm-hmm.
How big is that pipe that it would feed into?
What do you mean?
Is it 16, 18, 24?
I don't know if I follow your question.
At the other end by the fence.
The one you're talking about?
So where it goes under the fence.
Yeah.
The pipe that goes from behind the pump house, from the open canal to the culvert box is supposed to be a 24-inch pipe.
Okay, now,
And then there's
go
there's
south.
Well, there's another 24-inch pipe that comes from east to west that also feeds into that box.
Okay,
Nobody has ever, since I've been here, there's never been enough water. The box has always been so full that you cannot see the diameter of the
but
pipe.
that's not where I'm talking.
No.
You have a 24-inch pipe
Going
coming out
under
of
the
that.
road. You're talking about the pipe.
Going to, go south.
Yeah, going under the road to the ditch.
How big is that pipe under the road?
Nobody knows.
So, we got a 24-inch pipe, and I'm not an expert,
We have two.
but if you
24.
only got a 16-inch pipe and you're running 24,
You're running.
what we have existing will not handle the flow. I don't care if you reline it or not.
Well, there's two 24-inch pipes that go into that box. According to the gentleman from Inliner, the outflow that would go under the street and into the open canal on the south
Other
side
side.
of Wood should be at a minimum of 36 inches because we have two 24-inch pipes going in there. But nobody knows how big it is because the water in the box and the water in the ditch have always been over the top of the pipe. So nobody, but that's why he said we would cap it off at both ends.
Nothing is easy.
No. That's why
Jerome?
he's talking about capping it
I want
off
you to take this.
at the open ditch side and the open ditch side so that we clean out everything in the box, under the road, through the pipe, and then we will know A, what diameter they are,
That's a
and B,
deal.
if they need to be repaired.
We can get them to honor that.
Well, if the
'Cause it's
governor
all
doesn't redline it, we
18
got
months old.
$500,000 to play with.
That's a deal.
And my feeling is, where it goes under that road and goes to that other ditch, it all needs to be replaced with adequate. Because that last hurricane, as we all know, there was 4 foot of water. And that told me nothing was flowing south.
Well, unfortunately, it all feeds to the river. And then with the king tide from the river plus the exceptional
You know.
amount of rainfall, it didn't have anywhere to go.
No, that's what's wrong with canal. When the bayou fills up, that water's
There's
not
no way to
flowing.
go, right?
Even if there's a pipe.
There isn't one.
Well, that's what I've been told. I don't know.
But I'm working on he's supposed to give me a price for that to be able to clean it and inspect it. To see if it even needs to be replaced because we don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
We need to have accurate information.
Yeah.
Yeah, the information that I got, like I said, was from the county and that was from them doing the as-built of what was in the park before they turned it over to the city.
us.
Yes, and he said that is a 24-inch pipe. The one coming, yes, sir.
Where are we at on the one on Gain Street? That repiping?
Well, we had an estimate for it
I know we
before,
did, but
and that estimate is still good because it's through it's piggybacking the county's contract, and until the county renegotiates with Inliner, that price is good for as long as that contract is in place. The problem that we have with the one on Gain Street is that pipe, a lot of it is on private property. Not all of it, but most of it is on private property because the city didn't put it in, and it doesn't technically belong to the city. And then there's a very long stretch of that pipe that traverses.
Don't we have an easement?
It's outside of the eastment.
It's outside the
It's
easement.
inside private property.
It's outside the easement,
Yeah, that
20
because
feet.
Where that opens up is my west side of my property, and that water there's nothing there. It didn't go anywhere.
But the other problem we have is right at the intersection of Halifax and Gaines. There's a house on the corner and then the house to the east of that, the same woman owned both of those. She sold the one house, she still owns the other one. She also owns the 1 acre vacant parcel behind it. That pipe traverses right through the middle of that 1 acre vacant lot underground to meet up with the mosquito control ditch.
Yeah,
canal.
Jack Bellamy did that. He owned that originally.
Exactly. He was the one that put all that stuff in.
His father-in-law's house and aunt's house, and then
And that's why I said all of that stuff
Yeah,
has been put
he
in,
did
but
that.
do we do we move all of that to where it's on city property? Do we, I don't know.
I can't answer that.
The other thing that I wanted to let you know was, remember we were having the discussion about who's supposed to maintain the ditches? Well, the ditch across the street from Nancy Cummings Park on the south side of Wood Avenue, where all the water from the park is supposed to go, in the conference call that Jerome and I had, they actually pulled up the old deeds for that property. And in that deed, the property owner said that they would maintain the ditch.
Oh, nice.
And they aren't maintaining it, obviously. I don't know if there's a way that we can gain access to maintain it, or I don't know how we're gonna traverse that one either, but we've got a lot of stormwater stuff that we've been using that isn't on our property, and other stuff that we need cleared to get the water to traverse south that we technically don't have a right to get onto because it's their property, and they said that they would clean the ditch.
Please come up.
Can I come up?
Sure.
I know about this, unfortunately.
I'm glad somebody did.
I've talked to, Tammy Creek, 124 North Gain Street. I live or next to the Baptist Church, along the Gain Street ditch. You know where my house is? The little bungalow? Are you guys all familiar? The county has been accessing the pasture land that the Dewey's own, slash Kathy Aretta. So I spoke to Mark Shaw, the ditch cleaners, the excavator guys, and another general project guy. They said that we have a tidal sewer system that was meant to be like Rose Bay, where the water is supposed to come in and out. And that we should have gates by Bill's, is it Hill Road?
Bill's Hill.
Until that kind of all connects, we don't really have a quote drainage. We have ditches that fill up and evaporate and come down. So I had 6 feet of water, because now I know it doesn't go to you, it comes to me. Then it stops. So I understand the topography. I'm kind of at a low medium where the city is. The drainage that's on private property that you guys are talking about, these pipes, culverts. I see the problem, and the county said, we can only go so far. Private properties access. So I was willing to give the county an easement off of my property, and they're writing up a legal document. So they're cutting off. They can get their equipment because there's not enough land to go on the access to get to Gain Street side. They can't come from Lagoon because the water kind of blocks, it's like a T. So they can't they can't connect. It's very complicated. There's no simple fix a pipe fix, sorry. So.
What you're talking about though, it ties in with what Mr. Bell was going there. That water from your place goes under the road, goes down south beside South Gaines and it's supposed to run into that 30-foot storm drains that's the west side of my property. But there's no water flowing in there because it's blocked somewhere in between.
It's such a layered.
But that all goes down to Bill's Hill and then flows into the river. And it is tidal. If the water's high, it doesn't flow as fast. But if it's low tide, then it should flow out of there.
Well, so the county said that he told me that they were trying to clear all the ditches from Bill's Hill all the way to the fire station. That's what their goal is. But then I realized, well, that's great and it looks fine, but if it can't go whatever they're back and forth, like.
Right.
What difference does it make?
Yeah. Right. So I'm just going with the reality of the situation.
Could we move that pipe on Bellamy's property onto city property and reroute it? Or, I mean, if we had look at that?
Mark, possible. 300 feet? Yeah. There's a lot of pipe that Jack Bellamy did that because he was building some houses and it was his hand.
He had a pond there and there's the irrigation pump's still there. He had a lot of that water going into the pond.
Right. And that was a long time ago. And he he put those in and then covered it up so there was backyards and other things in there. But there's probably 300 feet that we'd have to
Easy.
dig up, put pipe in.
Easy.
It's
Yep.
super complicated and layered and
So
historically.
it's, I mean, we,
One
Thank
step
you.
at a time.
yeah, but it's not,
It's a
and
big
it's not gonna
job,
be
but
cheap.
you gotta start on it.
But I mean, I got, the west 30 feet of my property is the whole west side of it. There's 600 feet of that ditch, right? And the water just sitting there.
I'll bet there's 3 places at least that I know of that we would need that check valve that Mark was talking about, that to keep the tide from pushing up.
Yep.
And then ideally, from what some of the stuff I looked at online, once that check valve closed, you'd have to have pumps to keep
pump it
pumping it
Over
over
the, yeah.
so that it doesn't start backing up
Flow
like
back.
it would anyway.
Yes.
Which is kind of negates the point of a check valve. If you gotta pump it back over
Well,
the check valve anyway.
You don't want the tidal
No,
surge.
he's talking about pumping it out of the
Oh,
ditch over the barrier,
Yeah,
right? When the high tide and the wind
Yeah.
blowing and the hurricanes got,
Yeah.
and if you can't get
Water
electric
level up.
to it, then you're talking about fuel storage and big
Hello.
diesel engines and pipes.
And diesels, right.
But we would need one right there next to Goodrich. We would need one on Bills Hill Road and also down at the overpass. That's just 3 that I know of.
Yes.
Big job.
Yep.
Big bucks.
Designate someone to be the lead on that?
Bonnie.
No, it sounds like Mark.
well, part of what we've been talking about is getting the grants to do the engineering that says this is what it's gonna take to get that water to flow. And the engineering itself, right, is gonna be millions of dollars.
Expensive, yeah.
But your stormwater master plan has that in it.
And
Speaking of,
Transform 386, has anybody ever looked into that? Did that just, go ahead.
yes, so speaking of grants and Transform 386, as far as the grants are concerned, I had Mark attend a meeting for me with the emergency management people.
It
I
was
forget
the
what they're called, LMS, Local Mitigation Strategy. And they have a number of grants that they can offer to, but you have to submit your projects. And all those projects that were identified on the Stormwater Master Plan, I did my submission and submitted that to them. So now we're on the list. They have to review it to see if we'll get, approved for a grant. The Transform 386, I recently heard from a lady from the county, Donna something, I forget
Yeah,
her
she's
name.
the one that runs that.
Yeah, so she sent something to me and I asked her to give me some more information about it and asked her also if she would be willing to come to one of our meetings to actually talk to the commission and give some more information. So I'm waiting to hear back. We might have her come do a presentation, a town hall or something, just so residents can get more information as far as what's out there, and what's available for them.
Good. See, they basically did the whole bottom of that building over there with Transform 386 offices, so you know there's big money flowing.
Well, it was like 380,000. I watched it Zoom and you went, because I saw you sitting in the audience when they did that presentation.
Yeah, it's a big chunk of money.
And it was like
I think $328
$380,000.
million. Or
Yeah.
something
Million
like
dollars,
that.
yeah, it was $1 million.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to see what they offer, what can assist our community.
Good.
Good.
So as soon as I know more, I'll let you know.
Very good. All right, comments, concerns from commissioners. Commissioner Hyatt?
Next Friends of the Library concert is going to be April the 14th. It's a gentleman that does John Denver. And we had great attendance at yesterday's concert. Over 80 people were there. And it
Yeah,
was very, very good.
That band very good.
Yeah, they were good.
Yeah. They're playing all over Edgewater. They play at
Tailgaters.
Tailgaters, and they also play at the Legion, and they play occasionally at Elliott's.
Is that,
They're worth
is
seeing.
that Dr. Bennett is coming back?
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
Doc Bennett, right?
yeah,
He does John Denver.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
He was the one that got cancer.
Yeah, the weather was bad. He was not feeling well too, so.
He said he talked like Kermit the Frog.
He's really good.
Good, good to hear that. You saw him in New Smyrna?
I've known him for years.
Oh, okay.
I've known him for years.
Nothing else?
Commissioner Catagono.
I got a call from David Lee the other day, I think it was last Thursday, and he said that the TAC Bandit was back. And he told me to pass along to the commission that if we were willing to accept it, he would fund us a camera to put up to see if we can get some.
The TAC Bandit.
Yeah.
Nails.
The nails in the intersection?
Mark has actually been talking to me about this.
Yeah, I think he said he actually talked to you, didn't he?
Yeah.
Do you want me to address that, or is this not open for discussion now?
Sure.
It's up to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that you've talked to some of your contacts from DOT. Mr. Lee did approach me. I'm looking into a high-speed camera. The company that I have a land use agreement with put one on our property, and it would pick up people going by at 40, 45 miles an hour and side by sides because they were going through the fence, yada, yada, yada. So he said, get me the information on it and I'll purchase one. We do have some cameras that we are going to install in the problem areas on posts. They will be all self-sufficient. All of the equipment was sourced secondhand, so it didn't cost us anything. But I've got the boxes, the solar panels, the cameras, the poles and everything. And I'm gonna try to get those installed by the end of this week, first of next week, in the areas where we've had the biggest problems. I don't know if that'll help or not, but we'll see. But I'm gonna get the information from Mr. Lee on the high-speed cameras as well and see if that's something that we can also put in, because I don't know how good the quality of the images are gonna be on certain cameras. I'd love to get some of the ones from DOT because they obviously can pick up a license plate at 75 miles an hour. But until then, we are gonna try to, obviously monitor the medians a little more closely and a little more regularly. It's unfortunate that it's still happening, but that's where we're at with it. I know the county guys have been upset because they've picked up several of them in doing the ditch cleaning. The gentleman that either picks up or brings fish to the fish farm down around the bend there, he's picked them up. He's upset about it. I tried to reach out to Mr. King the other day and talk to him. He hasn't had any recently, but it's hit or miss. I guess it depends on which intersection you go through, but we're working on it. But
I'd love to catch it.
It's just, unfortunately, nobody's been caught to be able to hold their feet to the fire yet.
That's all I have.
Yeah, I just wanted to reiterate again what we were talking about earlier about the condition of the building and stuff out there at Nancy Cummins. That we do need to focus some attention and come up with some way of improving that out there. Because they painted it, it looks good, but if you stand under there and you look at, there's, that plywood.
Showing its age.
Bad situation, and so it was. We need to work on it. That's all.
That's it? I attended the elected officials roundtable, and they had a Volusia County Community Assistance. There's a number of programs that are available, and I'm going to ask that this card be put on our website because you can scan it, and it provides all the information about local social service agencies. They have a summertime food program for 18 and under. They also have grants for parents that wish to send their children to camp. That program pays $80 a day. Some of these camps are also under the Volusia County food program. So they can send their kid gets fed. I just think it's and if this wasn't presented today, I had no clue. That there's programs out there for people in need.
More than likely, the libraries will have the food all summer long for the kids.
Oh, cool. And we have
We used to do that at the school.
a new adventure in town. The little church on Gaines Street, South Gaines, has a building that they allow individuals to come in free of charge, 7 items. Clothing, utensils, you name it.
Linens.
People have donated, to it. And to me, it's a good thing because there's people living in the woods. We all know it. And we know why they're doing that. But if they have some clean clothes, looks better for all of us. That's all I've got.
Well, the hookups for the sewer lines in Indian Harbor Estates are going well. The plumbers are running all over the place, getting people hooked up. And I've reached out to Applied Ecology to get an updated contract to start water testing again, since we're starting to have people hooked up. I think it'd be a good idea for us to start testing it so we can hopefully start seeing the decline in the nutrients in the water levels. And I'll reach out to Mark's not here, I'll reach out to my DOT contact at the TPO meeting again and see if I can get any more information on the cameras, because I haven't heard back from them. So.
In the red light.
Can I add to what Vice Mayor was just talking about? That was one thing I wanted to also do, to thank Tommy Armitage in there, because there's been some misinformation going on about they gotta have this, or they gotta do this, or things with hooking up with the sewage system. And Tommy's been really good on the Oak Hill and Moore website and all that about providing some accurate information.
Yeah. He's been good on
he's
Facebook.
got a contract that even if they don't use him for putting in the crushing those septic tanks and stuff like that, but just please put out in there, if somebody's there's some nasty rumors going around out there. If they don't ask on Oak Hill and Moore, call the city, right, and get accurate information and tell other, because there's some stuff that's going around out there.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I've seen it on Facebook.
Wow.
It's his ex-employee.
Is it? So that's how he knows what's, because he's quoted somebody as.
And I won't mention any names.
They're trying to make some in there, but.
That's all I have, sir.
We need a motion.
Motion to dismiss.
Second. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming, and be careful going home, please.